from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good Monday morning. Amy Jacobson here, John Anthony, and for Dan Proft.
Hey.
And we've had a big news cycle today, that's for sure.
That's
a lot going on. Here in Chicago, it's making news here, and I think it's going to be national news by the end of today, that's for sure. We have a Douglas Park lifeguard, white, 55-year-old man, Marine veteran, who claimed he was about to be attacked. There were some words exchanged. His bike was about to be stolen, and he opened fire, killing a 15-year-old black juvenile and injuring severely a 14-year-old. Police say he did fire a third shot, but it missed his intended target. He has been charged with a lot of the items that we're going to go over with our next guest, but he's also been denied pretrial bond, which surprises me considering that he doesn't have any priors on his record. And the judge in the case yesterday, when he went before the magistrate, said that he was a safety issue or safety risk to the community. So with more on that, let's welcome to the program Paul Huebl, former Chicago police officer and private investigator who specializes in self-defense cases. Good morning, Paul. How are you?
How are you, Amy? I hope you're having a good morning so far.
Yeah, well, we've been pretty busy over here, and I wanted you to hear a few things. This is the two boys, their parents have jointly hired an attorney, Jeff Nesland, to talk about what happened.
There's absolutely no defense to using a deadly weapon, certainly against unarmed children, over an incident with your bicycle.
So you've been dealing with this. You've had just self-defense cases before you that you've been involved with. I think you're, 15 for 15 or 12 for 12?
15 for 15.
Okay. Well, so you saw the video.
I
saw the video multiple times. What's your initial reaction when you see that?
Well, that video is such a tiny clip. When I say tiny, I mean short. And what we have to see is what happened before the shooting, not just the shooting itself. And, when you have the other thing, when you're talking about a 14, 15-year-old kid, particularly boys, a lot of them are adult size. And we really don't know their height. We don't know their weight. And we've seen pictures that have been provided, which are probably maybe as much as 2 or 3 or more years old, meaning that these kids were a lot younger when the pictures were taken. We really don't know what the threat that he actually saw, and the words that came out of their mouth, like, give me your bike or we'll kill you or something like that. There's no audio on the video. The other thing is this guy's got no criminal record. He's 55 years old. He's a honorably discharged Marine. He's working as a lifeguard, meaning he likes to help people. And apparently he's in the black community over there helping keeping kids from drowning. So I just find that this is outrageous to turn around and say this guy turns into a killing machine when it's obvious that he's outnumbered. And we really don't know how many of these kids. Initially, the report was that he said that there were 10 kids, meaning that some have disappeared. And for an attorney to come out representing the family, this guy, I've done a little background investigation on him, on Lido. Charles Lido was his name. He doesn't have any money. He's, suing him is going to be impossible. The attorney's wasting his time if he thinks he's going to get rich on this one. And it's bizarre. And the fact that I think he may get pretrial release when he appears in court very shortly. once again.
Well, he goes
so
tomorrow. He goes back to court tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And so he'll probably have a different judge with a different attitude. And by then, the public defender who's representing him is going to probably come up with a little more reasons why he should be getting pretrial release. And he's in a unit in the jail where they do ankle monitoring, so that may actually happen. I don't know, but I think he's entitled to pretrial release because he's never not appeared in court. He's not a flight risk. And the other thing the judge cited, which really kind of offended me, is that he's dangerous because he violated rules that the park district has. Well, rules are not laws.
Nope.
I mean, that's ridiculous. And so
well, he had a FOID card, and we should point out, too, he had a valid FOID card, and he had a concealed carry permit.
Absolutely. And that means he's had some training, not necessarily a lot, but enough training. And people talk about, well, he should have de-escalated the situation. You don't de-escalate a robbery. My God, who dreamed that one up?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that the one kid is shot in the back, and everybody, he's shot in the back. Oh, well, that's that's an intentional thing. What happens is he pulls out the gun, and he's being threatened, and at the moment that he pulls out the gun, the kid absolutely turns around in a hurry, and the question is whose reflex was faster. And so, obviously this young kid turned around fast and he got it in the back. And, that the moral of the story is you don't try to take people's bicycles by force.
No.
I think that this case, and they're trying to turn it into a racial thing, and it may be racial because he's a white minority, that these black kids think that they don't like, that they hate white people. Maybe we really don't know. And the other thing is, I hope the police, when they interviewed whoever they interviewed, and I'm sure they interviewed more than one person, with the interviews, there's going to be conflicts because people lie. And they're going to they're going to say that he did things that he didn't do. And I'm talking about Lito, the lifeguard. They're going to accuse him of things that he didn't do, and their stories aren't going to be straight. Now, the one kid is still alive who shot in the throat, and I think it's very difficult right now to get an interview with him. Yeah. If he survives, and he can talk, we'll find out. But anyway, enough of that. But
well, he also, all right, so Marjay Dotson is the 15-year-old who was killed, and the 14-year-old is Jeremy Hurd, and his cousin is Laquan McDonald. And we all know about that case. Do you think that would be brought up in court or have any bearing at all on this case?
No, because certainly Charles Lito did not know that. And, but Laquan McDonald was clearly a thug. He was assaulting a cop with a knife and viciously and really trying to hurt the cop. And the problem was, according to the jury that convicted him, was he fired too many shots.
Yeah.
But Laquan McDonald was clearly a thug. This is the same culture. It's not about skin color. It's about a culture. And the culture is somewhat bankrupt that Laquan McDonald belonged to, and probably this cousin. But again, we have a insignificant amount of information to draw complete conclusions. But the conclusion that I have reached already is that this guy Lito had no reason to just randomly assault these kids.
Well, it said, according to his defender, that they had messed with his bike before, and that's why he had it flipped upside down to repair it. But and if you watch the video, there's a woman. It seems like she's part of the group to be used as a decoy. And then they swing around. I mean, I understand why he was scared in that situation because he was getting slowly surrounded, but we don't know what words were spoken.
Exactly, and the judge that decided bail and whatnot, he really doesn't know. He's got a summary in front of him,
right,
to make a conclusion on, and of course he's going to make the conclusion that is, in his opinion, best for public safety. With a very tiny, limited information. So by the time that Lito goes to court tomorrow, that may change. And the other thing that really offends me is as soon as this thing happens, these cockroaches come out of the woodwork.
Wow.
And want to condemn this guy, and they don't have enough information. And it's. Are they going to turn this into an ugly incident?
Yeah.
Well, of course they are. They're talking about a hate crime.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely no basis for that. None.
So, Paul, it's being reported that he does not have a concealed carry, but he does have a FOID card.
See, I'm getting mixed reports, too, because NBC is saying that he had concealed carry. ABC said he didn't. So,
yeah. But here's my question. How will the People versus Everett and People versus McDonald People versus McDonald, one of the statements that came out of that ruling was defendant's statements to police showed he was not acting out of fear for his life, but out of frustration and retaliation. In People versus Everett, it said, where is it? It talked about also you can't kill someone because of property. How do you think those two rulings will affect Lito's decision?
Well, it goes back and forth. We talk about the mens rea. We don't know exactly what was in Lito's mind, what he actually feared. He made apparently a statement to police, which I
never
recommend.
Never do.
You never do. You don't talk to the police after a shooting.
Yeah.
You say 4 words. I want a lawyer.
Yep.
And he made a mistake. He talked to the police, and then the police, when you talk to them, they can actually interpret things improperly. In other words, they by mistake, a single word changes the semantics and the whole scheme of things. And when you have this mens rea is really important. Intent, what was the intent, and was this is this out of revenge? And of course, there's no basis for that. But we're so early in this investigation. We're just going to have to see how it plays out, and really everybody is grabbing onto this as turning it into a racial thing, and it may very well be racial. I mean, I'm sure that there's a little element of that because this guy is alone in this community he is the minority.
Yeah,
he is the one that's going to get victimized.
Well, he's been charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated battery, discharge of a firearm. And I don't understand this one. Aggravated discharge of a firearm involving an occupied vehicle.
they charge too high.
What's that?
They were beating a dead horse with these charges, and the first-degree murder.
Yeah, it's overkill.
That is outrageous.
Yeah.
It's overcharged. It doesn't belong in here, and of course, it's going to go away. Now the other thing is that there's 2 ways they can do this case right now. One is with an indictment with a grand jury, where they have to have a majority of the 23 grand jurors decide that there is probable cause that a crime was committed. That's number one. Number two, the second way is through a preliminary hearing where evidence is put on and the defense attorney actually gets to cross-examine witnesses. And there's a limited amount of hearsay involved, and the grand jury gets all hearsay if they want. But a grand jury is very smart. If anybody's on the grand jury, they've got to remember that they are in charge, not the prosecutor.
Yep.
They get to ask the questions, and they get to demand witnesses brought before them. They don't have to just let the prosecutor guide them through. And, of course, a defense attorney is not allowed into a grand jury room to protect his client. So the defense attorney doesn't know what questions they would ask his client. And that's why a defense attorney would not allow a client to appear before a grand jury. Instead, just exercise his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent.
Yeah. Before we go, I just want to ask you one quick question about the Idaho firefighters that were ambushed by a sniper. Do you think he acted alone, or is that another case where we're going to have to wait and see?
That's another case we're going to have to wait and see. And then, there could have been multiple offenders. I think what they're going to do is two things. Apparently the dead suspect, they're going to go to his house. They're going to go through his computers, his cell phones. They're going to find out who his associates are and what he is all about. And when they get done with that, they're going to have a conclusion. If there's more people to arrest, they're going to try to find them and arrest them. And but again, it's when things happen, it really takes time. And investigators have to be careful. They have to be thorough. And sometimes they're sloppy. Sometimes they're thorough. They're like any other job. You have people that really know what they're doing and people who don't.
Right. All right, Paul Huebl, we're going to have to leave it there. Former Chicago police officer, currently a private investigator who specializes in self-defense cases. Always a pleasure to have you on, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Paul.
You guys have a great day, and have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chavato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save